The rain hammered the terracotta roof like 1,000 tiny fists, drowning out the distant toll of the Seville cathedral bells, but it couldn't muffle the shatter of porcelain against the tiled kitchen floor. Elena Vargas clutched the edge of the scarred oak table, her knuckles whitening as the jagged pieces of her favorite mug, a relic from her first solo trip to New York, back when she was just a wide-eyed social worker chasing dreams across the Atlantic, skittered across the saltillo tiles like fleeing secrets. "Mama, I can't pretend anymore," whispered the voice from the doorway, soft as the mist rolling in from the Guadalquivir, but sharp enough to slice through Elena's heart. It was Isabella, the eldest of her 5 adopted daughters, her dark eyes, mirrors of Elena's own rimmed red from nights of silent tears. At 22, Izzy had always been the steady one, the anchor in their patchwork family of strays. She'd come to Elena's doorstep in Cadiz 7 years ago, a gangly 16-year-old with a backpack full of foster care files and a glare that could curdle milk. Now, standing there in the dim glow of the pendant light, her usually impeccable braid frayed like her resolve, Izzy let the words tumble out. "I'm gay, Mama. And I've been in love with someone for months. Someone you know." Elena's breath caught, the storm outside mirroring the one brewing in her chest. She'd known this day would come, hell, she'd prayed for it. In the quiet hours when the girls were asleep and the ghosts of her own hidden youth whispered from the shadows. Born to Spanish immigrants in Brooklyn's bustling little Spain, Elena had fled the suffocating expectations of her Catholic family at 18, trading tenements for the sun-baked freedom of Andalusia. Here, in this rambling finca on the outskirts of Ronda, she'd built a life from the ruins, a boutique olive oil business by day, a haven for broken girls by night. 5 of them, each plucked from the system's cold grip, Isabella from a Seville orphanage, rough-edged and fiercely loyal, quiet Maria from a Malaga shelter, her nose always buried in dog-eared novels, fiery Lucia from a Granada group home, with a laugh that could light up the darkest flamenco bar, sweet-natured Sofia from Córdoba, who painted the world in watercolors of impossible blues, and the baby of the bunch, bold Trinity from a coastal Alicante home. All freckles and unfiltered dreams at just 18. But knowing and hearing it aloud? That was a chasm. Elena forced a smile, the kind she'd perfected in boardrooms and courtrooms back stateside, and crossed the room in 2 strides, pulling Izzy into a hug that smelled of rain-soaked lavender and unspoken fears. "Mi vida," she murmured, her New York accent threading through the Spanish lilt she'd adopted like a second skin. "I've waited for you to say that. Who's the lucky girl? Spill, before I drag it out of you with that old cast-iron skillet." Izzy pulled back, a ghost of a smile cracking her facade. "It's Rosa. From the market. The one who sells those figs you love." Elena's mind flashed to the vendor with the easy grin and calloused hands, the one who'd slipped extra almonds into their baskets during lean months. Of course. The world tilted back into focus and they laughed, a brittle healing sound, as Elena swept up the shards, the rain easing to a patter. That night, over glasses of chilled manzanilla, Izzy shared her story. Stolen glances at the weekly feria, notes passed in the shadow of the cathedral, a first kiss under a canopy of jacaranda blooms. Elena listened, her heart swelling with a pride laced with ache, remembering her own fumbling youth in dimly lit village bars, loving a woman named Carla who vanished like smoke one dawn. Word spread through the house like wildfire through dry cork oaks. By morning the finca buzzed with a new electricity. Maria, the bookish middle child at 20, cornered Elena in the herb garden, her fingers twisting the hem of her oversized sweater, a hand-me-down from Izzy's punk phase. "If Izzy can say it, so can I," she said, voice barely above the hum of bees around the rosemary. "Mama, I'm a lesbian too. And it's been lonely hiding it." Elena dropped her shears, pulling Maria close, inhaling the faint scent of ink and aged paper that clung to her like a signature. Maria's coming out was quieter, a confession woven with quotes from Auden and Woolf. Her love for a classmate at the university in Malaga confessed in halting whispers. Elena promised her a bookshelf of her own in the library nook, stocked with stories of women who loved fiercely and without apology. Lucia was next, explosive as a summer squall. At 19, with her wild curls and tattooed wrists, a defiant rose inked during a rebellious weekend in Madrid, she burst into the kitchen that afternoon, slamming a sketchpad onto the counter. "Basta! I'm done with the charade," she declared, her accent thick with the raw poetry of Granada's gypsy quarters. I'm queer as hell, mama, and I've got a girlfriend, Pilar, the barista at that hole-in-the-wall cafe. She gets me, you know? Sees the chaos and doesn't run. Elena, mid-stir of a paella that would never simmer right, turned with arms open. Lucia's embrace was fierce, all elbows and unspoken apologies for the years of slammed doors and midnight rages. Over saffron-scented rice that evening, Lucia sketched portraits of Pilar, sharp jaw, mischievous eyes, while the sisters peppered her with questions, the air thick with sisterly ribbing and the first hints of collective relief. The finca, with its whitewashed walls and bougainvillea-draped arches, had always been a sanctuary, but now it felt alive in a way Elena hadn't anticipated. She'd adopted them not out of pity, but because the system back home had chewed her up too, a queer Latina kid shuttled between relatives who prayed the gay away. In Spain, amid the olive groves and the ghosts of Lorca's verses, she'd vowed to give them what she'd clawed for, roots without the thorns of shame. Yet as the sun dipped low, painting the Sierra Nevada in strokes of ochre and rose, Elena sensed the undercurrent. Not all secrets surfaced so cleanly. Sophia and Trinity lingered at the edges, their glances darting like fireflies in the gathering dusk. Sophia, 21, with her painter's hand stained perpetually blue, had always been the observer, content to capture the family's fractious beauty on canvas. Trinity, the youngest, was a whirlwind, freckled cheeks flushed from soccer games on the dusty pitch, her laughter echoing off the canyon walls like a challenge to the world. They were thick as thieves, the three of them, Sophia, Trinity, and the enigmatic Valentina. Wait, no, Valentina wasn't one of the five. Who was she? Elena frowned, pruning shears idle in her grip. Valentina. The name tugged at her, a half-remembered whisper from Trinity's late-night phone calls, the girl from the art collective in Rhonda with the velvet voice and eyes like smoked almonds. That night, as thunder rumbled anew, Elena found Sophia in the studio, brush paused mid-stroke over a canvas of swirling tempest skies. Your turn soon, Mija? Elena teased gently, leaning against the doorframe. Sophia's smile was a flicker, her golden curls catching the lamplight. Maybe, mama. But some bonds, they're deeper than words. Elena nodded, not pressing, but the seed of unease took root. Little did she know, in the shadowed corners of their shared room upstairs, three hearts beat in quiet conspiracy. Sophia, Trinity, and their hidden third, Valentina, not blood but chosen, woven into their tapestry with threads of laughter, stolen sketches, and promises sealed under starlit vigils. The week blurred into a rhythm of revelations and reckonings. Isabella brought Rosa home for Sunday tapas, their hands brushing shyly over platters of jamon and gambas al ajillo, the sisters toasting with rioja that flowed like confessions. Maria's girlfriend, a soft-spoken literature major named Clara, joined them for walks along the cliffs, reciting Neruda as the sea crashed below. Lucia and Pilar turned the courtyard into a makeshift dance floor, flamenco guitars strumming from a battered speaker, hips swaying in defiant joy. Elena watched from the balcony, her chest tight with a love so vast it bordered on grief. These girls, her girls, were blooming, thorny, beautiful, unapologetic. But in the quiet hours when the finca slept, she wondered about the shadows they cast. It started small. Trinity's unexplained absences, Sophia's canvases now layered with abstract forms that hinted at tangled limbs and whispered oaths. And then the letters, tucked into Elena's mailbox like accusations, anonymous scrawls from a neighbor in the village, pious busybodies who'd caught wind of the unnatural household up the hill. Repent or ruin, one read, the ink bleeding like old wounds. Elena burned them in the hearth, but the smoke lingered, acrid and accusing. By month's end, the air hummed with anticipation. Trinity cornered Elena in the olive press, the scent of crushed fruit heavy as regret. Mama, I'm like the others. Gay. And it's Valentina. She's everything. At 18, Trinity's eyes sparkled with the fire of first love, her freckles standing out like constellations against flushed skin. Valentina, Elena recalled now, the artist from the Rhonda Co-op 22, with sleek raven hair and a quiet intensity that reminded Elena of her own lost Carla. She'd met her once at a market stall buying pigments for Sophia's paints. Bring her over, Elena said, hugging her tight. This house is big enough for all our truths. But Sophia held back, her studio door barred like a confessional. Elena knocked softly one evening. The storm long passed but the air still charged. Sophie? Talk to me. Silence, then the creak of hinges. Sophia stood there, paint-splattered and pale, a sketchbook clutched to her chest like armor. It's not just me, Mama. It's us. Me, Trinity, and Val. We're bound. Deeper than sisters, deeper than friends. The words hung fragile as frost on the vines. Elena's pulse thundered. A bond. A secret shared among three. Her mind reeled. Polyamory? A throuple? In this conservative pocket of Andalusia, where whispers could ignite inquisitions. Before Elena could respond, the door flew open wider. There in the lamplight stood not just Sophia, but Trinity and Valentina, hands linked in a chain of quiet defiance. Valentina, with her sharp cheekbones and eyes like polished obsidian, nodded solemnly. Senora Vargas, we love each other. All of us. Equally. It's not a phase or a scandal, it's our truth. The room spun, Elena's world fracturing like that first shattered mug. Betrayal? No, not quite. But the sting of exclusion, of a secret kept from the family's heart. How long? How deep? The girls' faces pleaded. Young, vulnerable, achingly earnest. Elena sank onto a stool, the weight of it crashing down. She'd built this life to shield them from the world's cruelties, yet here they were, forging their own path in the shadows. Tell me everything, she whispered finally, voice cracking like dry earth. And they did, haltingly at first, then in a rush. Late-night gatherings in the almond groves, sketches of intertwined hands, vows exchanged over smuggled bottles of vermouth. It was love, pure and poly, a triad born of shared solitude in a world that demanded singularity. No drama of deceit, just the quiet rebellion of three souls finding home in each other. But outside the village stirred. The letters multiplied, and with them the first cracks in their idyll. The almond blossoms fell like confetti from a cruel jest, carpeting the path to the finca in pale pink petals that stuck to Elena's boots like accusations. It had been 2 weeks since the revelation in Sophia's studio. 2 weeks of tiptoeing around the elephantine secret that now lumbered through every meal, every shared glance. Elena had nodded through their stories, her maternal instincts warring with the cultural ghosts of her upbringing. Brooklyn stoicism clashing against Andalusian fire. As long as it hurts no one, she'd said, forcing brightness into her voice. This house holds you all. But the words tasted like ash, and sleep evaded her, chased away by visions of village tongues wagging over café con leches. Valentina became a fixture, slipping into their rhythms like she'd always belonged. At 22 she was a force, born in Ronda to a family of potters, her hands callous from wheels and kills, her spirit shaped by the town's ancient bullring shadows. She moved with a dancer's grace, her black hair often pinned with wildflowers Sophia plucked at dawn. With Trinity it was playful fire. Stolen kisses in the kitchen that dissolved into laughter when Elena rounded the corner with a basket of lemons. With Sophia it was depth, hours lost in the studio, Valentina's fingers tracing the curve of a brushstroke as if mapping a lover's spine. And between all three, a harmony Elena could only glimpse, like sunlight filtering through olive leaves. Supportive, sacred, unspoken. The other sisters embraced it unevenly. Isabella, ever the protector, pulled Valentina aside after a family dinner of gazpacho and grilled sardines, her voice low under the arbor. Hurt them, and I'll bury you in the groves myself. Valentina met her gaze, unflinching. I'd sooner carve my own heart out with a shard of clay. Maria observed from afar, her novels now annotated with marginalia on queer polyamory, quoting Simone de Beauvoir over breakfast. Lucia, true to form, threw a triad tapas night, complete with Pilar's experimental sangria and a playlist of Billie Holiday crooning about tangled lovers. To loves that don't fit boxes, she toasted, clinking glasses with a wink that hid her own flicker of envy. Her bond with Pilar was solid but singular. Yet the world beyond the finca's stone walls was less forgiving. Ronda, perched like a crown on its gorge, was a town of breathtaking divides. Tourists snapping selfies at the Puente Nuevo, locals nursing grudges older than the Moors. Elena's olive oil stand at the Saturday market had always drawn smiles, her bottles labeled Vargas Vigor, infused with American bravado and Spanish soul. But now whispers slithered through the stalls like serpents. That American witch with her den of sinners, hissed old Señorita Morales from her lace stall, loud enough for Rosa to overhear while haggling over thread. Rosa, loyal as ever, shot back. Mind your rosaries, abuela. Jealousy ages worse than your doilies. But the damage seeped in, sales dipping as pious housewives turned away, their baskets empty of Elena's golden elixirs. Elena confronted it head-on one market morning, her chin lifted like the heroines in the old Hollywood films her mother had loved. "We've got nothing to hide," she told the girls that night, over a dinner of fedua that Lucia had charred to perfection. Proud and loud like they say back home. Trinity beamed, her freckles dancing, but Sophia's eyes shadowed. "It's not that simple, Mama. Val's family. They don't know. And the village, if they find out about us three." Valentina squeezed her hand under the table, a silent vow, but the air thickened with the unsaid. Betrayal loomed not from within, but from the judgmental eyes pressing against their gates. The conflict ignited on a sweltering July afternoon, the kind where the siesta blurred into fever dreams. Elena was in the groves, checking irrigation lines snaking through the gnarled trees, when Trinity's shout pierced the cicada drone. "Mama! Sophia's gone." She left a note. Heart slamming, Elena sprinted back, mud caking her jeans, to find the triad huddled in the courtyard. Sophia's sketchbook lay open, pages filled with frantic scrawls. "I can't breathe under this. Meeting Val's parents tonight. Alone. Need to end it before they end us." Panic clawed at Elena's throat. Valentina paced, her braid unraveling like her composure. "She thinks confessing to them will protect us, take the heat off the finca. But her family, they're old school, Mama. Church every Sunday, saints on every shelf." Trinity, tears carving tracks through the dust on her cheeks, clutched a half-finished painting Sophia had left behind. Three silhouettes merged against a stormy sky, indistinguishable yet inseparable. Elena grabbed her keys. "We're going. All of us. This isn't her burden alone." The drive to Ronda was a gauntlet of hairpin turns and unspoken fears, the gorge yawning below like a judgment. Valentina's family home squatted on a narrow calle, its door flanked by terracotta pots bursting with geraniums, a facade of domestic bliss. They arrived as the sun bled into the cliffs, knocking with hands that trembled. Dona Carmen answered, her face a map of weathered lines, eyes narrowing at the unexpected procession. "Valentina? And the Vargas girls? What is this?" Inside, the air smelled of simmering estofado and incense from a corner altar. Señor Ruiz, Valentina's father, a burly man with potter's hands like bare paws, rose from his armchair. Sophia sat rigid at the table, her curls limp, paint still flecked on her knuckles. "I came to tell you," she began, voice quavering, "about me. And Val. And Trinity. We love each other. All three. It's not wrong, it's us." The room froze, the clock ticking like a bomb. Dona Carmen crossed herself, whispering a hurried Ave Maria. Señor Ruiz's face darkened, thunderclouds gathering. "Three? This abomination? In my house?" He turned on Valentina, voice booming. "You've shamed us. Dragged these girls into your filth." Valentina stood, fire in her eyes. "Papa, it's love, not filth. Stronger than your clay, deeper than your pride." Chaos erupted, shouts echoing off the white walls, plates rattling in the hutch. Trinity stepped forward, small but unyielding. "Señor, we've built something beautiful. Don't tear it down because it scares you." Elena, silent till now, placed a hand on Ruiz's arm, her Brooklyn grit surfacing. "Listen, amigo. I came from a place where love like this got you beaten in alleys. But it survives. It heals. Let them show you." But Ruiz was unyielding, his betrayal cutting deepest, not of his daughter, but of the traditions he'd clung to like lifelines. "Out. All of you. Or I'll call the priest, the village, everyone." Sophia fled first, sobs racking her frame, followed by Trinity's anguished cry. Valentina lingered, pleading, but her father's door slammed like finality. In the truck hurtling back through twilight, the triad clung together in the cab, Elena at the wheel with white-knuckled grip. "We'll fight this," she vowed, but doubt gnawed. How deep did the village's venom run? Back at the finca, the sisters rallied, Isabella brewing strong coffee, Maria quoting resilience from Baldwin, Lucia blasting defiant reggaeton. But the wound festered. Anonymous calls began. Heavy breathing, slurred threats. "Sinner's house. Fire next." Elena installed locks, but sleep fractured. The secret bond, once a private joy, now a target painted on their backs. Then the ultimate betrayal. Not from family, but from within the village's tangled vines. Pilar, Lucia's girlfriend, confessed over tears one dawn. She'd let slip to a mutual friend, in a moment of wine-fueled vulnerability, about the throuple up the hill. I didn't mean it was anger at my own parents. Lo siento, Elena. Lucia's rage was a storm, their young love cracking under the weight. You sold us out for what? Sympathy. Pilar fled, leaving Lucia shattered, her sketches now torn and discarded. Elena gathered them all that evening on the terrace, the gorge a shadowed maw below. We've lost pieces, she said, voice steady as the ancient stones, but we're still whole. That bond you three share? It's our strength. Don't let them break it. Trinity, nestled between Sophia and Valentina, whispered, We won't, Mama. Promise. But as stars pricked the velvet sky, Elena saw the gathering clouds, not rain but reckoning. The gorge wind howled like a banshee through the Puente Nuevo's arches, carrying the faint clamor of Ronda's fiesta preparations, firecrackers popping, accordions wheezing in the plazas below. But up on the bluff where Elena's finca clung like a defiant vine, the air was thick with the scent of impending doom. Smoldering embers from a trash fire set at their gate the night before, its message scrawled in soot. Abominations. Elena surveyed the damage at dawn, her robe belted tight against the chill, while the girls slept fitfully upstairs. 5 years of tending this patch of earth, coaxing life from stubborn soil, and now it felt like betrayal from the land itself. The attacks escalated with the summer heat, each one a knife twist in the family's gut. First, the slashed tires on Elena's battered Renault, forcing her to hike the 3 kilometers to market, baskets heavy on her shoulders. Then eggs splattered against the door at midnight, yolks dripping like tears down the stucco. The sisters took shifts on watch, Isabella with a baseball bat from her old softball days in the States, a gift from Elena's Brooklyn cousin, Maria with pepper spray clutched like a talisman. Lucia's fire turned inward. She barely sketched, her once vibrant eyes dulled by betrayal's aftertaste. Pilar was supposed to be safe, she'd mutter, staring at the gorge as if it might swallow her whole. For the triad, the strain was a vice. Sophia's paintings darkened, canvases of fractured mirrors and thorny embraces, sold hastily at the market to cover repairs. Trinity, ever the optimist, organized bond nights, in the hidden alcove of the almond grove. Picnics of pan con tomate and whispered dreams of escape to Barcelona, where queer love bloomed openly in the Ramblas. Valentina, torn between her family's silence and this chosen home, would trace their palms with clay-dusted fingers, mapping futures in the lines. We're unbreakable, she'd say, but her voice cracked on the edges, haunted by her father's last words. You've killed your mother's heart. Elena bore it with a stoicism forged in New York's concrete jungles, but cracks spiderwebbed her facade. Late one night, after shooing away a gaggle of stone-throwing teens, village boys egged on by fathers with grudges, she retreated to the study, unearthing a faded photo from her desk drawer. There she was at 20, arms slung around Carla in a Greenwich Village cafe, both grinning like they'd conquered empires. Carla, with her red lipstick and rebel laugh, gone too soon to a car crash in '05, leaving Elena adrift until Spain's shores called. What would you do? Elena whispered to the ghost, but the only answer was the wind's mournful keen. The climax brewed on the eve of the Virgin de la Cabeza festival, when Ronda swelled with pilgrims and processions. Elena had planned a quiet night, a movie marathon of old Audrey Hepburn flicks, popcorn popped in olive oil, but fate, that capricious flamenco dancer, had other steps. Word came via a frantic call from Rosa. They're coming for you. Morales and her coven, torches, signs. Cleanse the hill. Get the girls out. Chaos descended like a summer squall. Elena herded them into the truck, but Trinity balked at the gate. No, Mama, we face it. Together. Valentina nodded, fierce. This is our home. Sophia, clutching her sketchbook like a shield, added, Let them see us. All of us. The other sisters echoed the cry, a chorus of defiance. Isabella's steady resolve, Maria's quiet steel, Lucia's simmering spark. Elena relented, heart-pounding. They stood arm in arm on the terrace as the mob crested the hill, 24 villagers, faces twisted in righteous fury, pitchforks and placards aloft under the harvest moon. Senora Vargas! bellowed Morales, her shawl clutched like a battle flag, eyes blazing with Old Testament zeal. Your house of perversion ends tonight. Repent or we'll burn it to God's will. The crowd murmured assent, a low rumble like thunder over the gorge. Elena stepped forward, the wind whipping her silver-streaked hair, her voice carrying clear as a bell. This is Spain, not the Inquisition. My daughters love who they love, same as you love your saints and your sins. We've harmed no one. Go home. Pray for understanding, not fire. Murmurs rippled, some faces wavering, others hardening. Then from the shadows a figure emerged. Señor Ruiz, Valentina's father, his bulk silhouetted against the torches. Enough! He roared, voice cracking like kiln-fired clay. The mob stilled. He turned to Morales, eyes wet. My daughter. She came to me last week. Begged forgiveness. Showed me drawings, not filth but beauty. 3 hearts, 1 beat. I cast her out, shamed my wife with my pride. He faltered, glancing at Valentina, who stood pale but unbowed beside her loves. But pride is the real sin. I was wrong. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Dona Carmen appeared then, tentative at his side, her rosary dangling like a truce flag. We've prayed, she said softly. And God whispered back. Love is love. The torches dipped, flames guttering in the breeze. Morales sputtered, but the momentum shifted, a young mother in the back murmuring agreement, an old farmer nodding sagely. One by one they dispersed, the hill emptying like a confessional after midnight mass. In the aftermath, silence blanketed the finca, broken only by sobs of release. Ruiz approached Valentina, arms open. Hija! Forgive an old fool. She flew into his embrace, Trinity and Sophia joining. A knot of forgiveness untangling years of knots. Elena watched, tears streaming, as the village's betrayal folded into redemption's fragile bloom. But peace was fleeting. Dawn brought a new shadow, Lucia, packing a duffel by the kitchen door. I'm leaving, Mama. For Madrid. Pilar. She called last night. Said sorry, wants to try again. But after this, I need space. Elena's heart fractured anew. Lucia's conflict, her own betrayal by trust's fragility. Mija, stay. Heal here. Lucia shook her head, curls wild. I love you all. But some bonds break to mend stronger. She hugged each sister, lingering on the triad. Keep shining, you 3. You're magic. Then drove off, taillights fading into the mist. The house felt hollow, echoes of laughter now ghosts. Elena gathered the remaining 4 on the terrace, the gorge a serene witness. We've lost, we've gained. But that secret bond? It's the thread holding us. Trinity squeezed Sophia's hand. Valentina's on the other side. It's our light, Sophia whispered. Yet Elena saw the wear. Maria retreating into books, Isabella's protectiveness turning brittle. The triad's touch is tentative, shadowed by the mob's memory. Weeks blurred into harvest, olives dropping like tears. Elena threw herself into the press, the rhythmic thud a bomb. Valentina's family mended slowly, dinners at the finca, awkward but earnest, Ruiz even helping with the crush, his hand steadying the wheel. The village thawed. Morales sent a jar of her lace-trimmed preserves, unsigned but peace-scented. Sales at market ticked up, whispers turning to curious questions. But internal storms gathered. Trinity, chafing at 18's cusp, confessed dreams of university in Barcelona. With them, Mama. Our bond needs room to grow. Sophia nodded, eyes distant. An art school in Valencia for me. Valentina, ever the anchor, wavered. But the finca. You, Elena. The triad's love, once a secret spark, now threatened to scatter them like petals on the wind. Elena lay awake that night, the gorges whisper a lullaby of what betrayal had come from without, then within, but the deepest cut. Watching her girls' bond pull them away, a beautiful ache. Autumn crept into the finca like a hesitant lover, painting the olive leaves in burnished golds and russets, the gorge air crisp with the promise of rain. Elena stood at the balustrade, nursing a café solo, watching mist rise from the depths like exhaled secrets. For months since the mob's retreat, 3 since Lucia's departure, postcards from Madrid trickled in, scribbled with tales of reconciliation and a shared apartment overlooking the Retiro. Pilar and I? We're figuring it. Love's messy but worth the polish. Elena smiled at the words, but the house's heartbeat had slowed. rooms echoing with absences. The triad's dilemma hung like Spanish moss, heavy and entwined. Trinity's acceptance letter from Barcelona's Art Institute arrived first, a crisp envelope that she waved like a flag during breakfast, her freckles alight. We could all go, Val's pottery program there. Sophie's illustrations for the graphic novels crowd. Sophia sketched feverishly, her blues now tempered with hopeful greens, but doubt shadowed her strokes. And leave Mama? The finca. Valentina, shaping a new vase on her portable wheel in the courtyard, paused, clay-slick hands still. This place saved us. Elena's our route. Elena overheard from the kitchen, her knife pausing mid-chop of ajo for the aioli. Route. Yes, she'd been that, digging deep into Spain's soil to anchor them all. But roots could strangle, she knew. Her own flight from Brooklyn at 18 echoed, leaving a mother who wept but never understood, chasing Carla's ghost across oceans. Go, she'd urged them that evening, over a dinner of rabo de toro slow-simmered to tenderness. Your bond deserves the world. I'll hold the fort, maybe even visit, terrorize the Catalan coast with my bad paella. Laughter rippled but tears salted the wine. Conflict crested in November's chill. During the annual Olive Harvest Festival, the village, redeemed in fits and starts, invited the finca folk to the plaza, a olive branch of wooden stalls and chorizo-grilled aromas. Elena went, arm in arm with Isabella and Maria, the triad trailing like a comet's tail. Rosa and Izzy danced a clumsy sardana, Maria debated philosophy with a tipsy professor, but Sophia hung back, her latest canvas under arm. A triptych of the three faces merged in a mosaic of light and shadow. Morales approached then, her lace stall unattended, eyes softer in the lantern glow. Senora, I was wrong. My nephew, he's like your girls. Hidden. Your courage shamed me into seeing. Elena clasped her hand, the old woman's grip surprisingly firm. No shame, only growth. Bring him around, the finca's open. Redemption's thread wove tighter, but for Sophia it unraveled. Later, under the fiesta's fireworks, bursts of crimson and gold mirroring the gorge's hidden fires, Sophia pulled Elena aside. Mama, I can't go. Val and Trinity. Their dreams pull north, but mine? Here with you. The soil, the light. It's my muse. Trinity overheard, her face crumpling like creased vellum. Sophie, know we're three halves of one. Without you. Valentina's eyes darkened, the potter's calm fracturing. This is the betrayal we feared. Not village pitchforks but our own hearts dividing. The argument spilled into the night, voices rising over the fiesta's din, then dying into the truck's tense silence homeward. At the finca, accusations flew like olive pits. Trinity's youth demanding flight, Valentina's loyalty torn between blood and bond, Sophia's roots anchoring her to stone. You're choosing dirt over us. Trinity cried, freckles lost in flush. And you're choosing whimsy over home. Sophia shot back. Valentina, mediator turned casualty, whispered, we vowed forever. Was it lies? Elena intervened at dawn, calling them to the terrace as fog blanketed the gorge. Love isn't a cage, it's wings. If it clips one, it clips all. She shared her story then, full and unvarnished. Carla's love, fierce but fleeting, ending not in betrayal but in life's cruel caprice. I grieved, but it freed me to build this. Your triad? It's yours to shape, together or in orbits that return. Tears flowed, hugs mended fractures. They chose compromise, Barcelona for Trinity and Valentina, with summers at the finca, Sophia staying but collaborating on a joint exhibit. Gorge bonds, three artists, one soul. Maria's turn came softly, over Christmas lights strung in the courtyard. Mama, I'm applying to Oxford Literature PhD. Clara's going too. At 20, her quiet fire had kindled into ambition. Isabella, the anchor, confessed last. A job offer in Malaga's tech scene, Rosa by her side. Time to build our own nest. Elena's heart ached, a hollowing sweet as ripe figs, but pride swelled. Fly, mis amores. The finca's always here, roots waiting. The deepest emotion crested in spring, as blossoms returned. The triad's farewell fiesta was a tapestry of tears and toasts. Lucia home from Madrid, Pilar in tow, mending fences with Lucia's sketches of their shared scars. The village contributed, Ruiz with a commissioned vase, etched with intertwined vines, Morales with lace tablecloths. Under the jacaranda canopy, Trinity, Sophia, and Valentina renewed vows. Not with rings but with a shared sketch. 3 hands clasped eternal. Elena watched, her own secret surfacing in a quiet moment with Isabella. Mama, you've never told us about your loves. After Carla. Izzy's eyes searched. Elena smiled wistful. There were others. A flamenco dancer in Seville. A writer in Granada. But you girls? You're my grandest romance. Izzy hugged her, whispering, then find one now. For you. The ending unfolded humanely. Not in thunder but in gentle rain. The girls departed in waves, Maria to England's spires, Isabella to Malaga's seas, the triad northbound in a rented van piled with canvases and clay. Lucia stayed a spell, helping harvest the first press, her presence a bridge. Elena stood at the gate as the van crested the hill, waving until it vanished, then turned back, the finca vast but not empty. Months later, letters and calls wove them close. Trinity's first exhibit, Sophia's glowing reviews from afar, Valentina's pots adorning Barcelona lofts. The secret bond endured, a deep well drawing them homeward. Elena, meanwhile, met Lena, an American expat potter with laughing eyes and a Brooklyn lilt, at the Ronda Co-op. Their first walk along the gorge was tentative, hands brushing like tentative sketches. In the finca's quiet, Elena hung the triptych in the hall. 3 faces, 1 light. She'd adopted 5 girls, watched them come out one by one, and discovered 3 who shared not just a secret, but a salvation. Life's dramas faded, leaving romance's residue. Emotional, raw, enduring. The gorge whispered approval, petals drifting on the wind, carrying their stories onward. And in the heart of Andalusia, under skies vast as forgiveness, Elena Vargas breathed free. Love, after all, was the ultimate harvest. Bountiful, bittersweet, forever blooming.